I literally watched the man eat a bacon cheeseburger while my mama died. So yeah, mama, I'm a little traumatized. But let me backtrack, y'all. This is another episode of I Go by Makai, and this one is called Yes, Mama, I'm Traumatized. And I want to tell y'all the most transparent, open, honest story, the most important story to me in this journey so far, about my mother's passing. This is not something that I talk about very often, but in releasing and starting to have these conversations with my wife, I realized that it's important for me to tell my story. So buckle up, grab a snack, because this is a crazy story. This is my story, my perspective, my everything. Here we go. All right, y'all. So October the 12th of 2022 is where this started. But I will give y'all a little bit of the backstory because, again, one, this is for my angel, my mom. So I want to tell this story and I want to do it justice. So I want to be completely open with you guys for the good and the bad. So me and my mom, we always had somewhat of a tumultuous relationship. And just in hindsight, now that I'm an adult and I have kids, it's a lot easier for me to look back and realize that I really was an ungrateful brat. Like I was very entitled because my mom had gave me such a good life that I felt like, that's her job. She's supposed to do those things. So even when we would have tough times in life, or, she might have been struggling, or we had to move. I remember moving, like in high school, that was a big thing. I had lived in the same neighborhood for, most of my life. And I just remember her telling me like, hey, like, we're losing the house. Like, we gotta go. And y'all, I was mad. Like, I really was, because I'm 16 at this time. So, we having to move. Like, I'm thinking like I'm about to have to change schools, all this fun stuff. Even if I didn't have to change schools, like I'm losing like all my friends out the neighborhood because like we were like tight. Like our little neighborhood was very, you know what I'm saying? It was close knit. So that was like a world changer to me, And we went through a lot of changes. My mom had been married, 3 times. And, this last particular time, I was really like, in my eyes, it was just supposed to be me and her, through this journey. It was like she had just went through, well, not just went through, but she had gone through a divorce. It had just been us for a little while on our own. And then boom, she brings home this guy, and like, I don't, I'm gonna refrain from saying anybody's name on my podcast and on the YouTube, but I didn't even know his name. I didn't. I was calling him. I thought I knew what his name was, and I wish I could tell y'all the name, because it's funny. What I thought I was hearing was one thing. Well, I guess I can tell y'all what I thought I heard. What I thought I heard was Isaiah, but that was not his name. His name was something totally different. So, imagine my shock when, really like the second or third time meeting him, it was finding out they were getting married, finding out we were moving into his house. Like, y'all, like, ooh, sheesh. Like, we literally got to the house and it was like, he had been living a bachelor life. So it's no, discredit to him or anything like that. But it was not what I was used to. You know what I mean? Like, it was very much bachelor pad. And of course, over the years, my mom spruce it up. That was her thing. She swore she was a interior home designer, so she took all the time to spruce the house up, y'all. But it just was not giving. Like, y'all, it was crazy. Like, even my room. Okay, so my room really was like a old carport, like / garage kind of setup thing. So, it's coming from concrete floors. It was like a little damp, like it was like he had made it a room, but it really wasn't a room. So of course, because the floors tended to be damp, like you get the little, they call them water bugs, but I call them roaches. Like it wasn't a gross house. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it wasn't like this, but like I said, because the floors were a little bit damp because it used to be a carport, I had to deal with that. And y'all, I hate insects and bugs and all the things. Like, and then I had tried to rebel and get this little futon because she was like, oh, decorate the room. No, I'm not decorating the room. I don't want to put a bed in here. I don't want to live here. I do not even want to be here, y'all. So I went through that whole thing of real resentment for that. I did, and it took me going to therapy and talking that out loud to realize these things. But I truly resented my mom from really that point on, and she was an awesome parent. So please don't take that away from this, because like I say now, like, it's everybody's first time living, and nobody does it perfectly, right? So boom, like I said, that caused a lot of resentment at the time, because y'all, I get into sexuality and things like that in a later episode of the show. But at the time, I was very straight. I was a very preppy, basic girly girl, all the things. And yeah, I started to deal with a troublemaker. I found this guy, and my mom hated him really bad, really bad, really bad. So I found him because we went to the same church. His mom was a minister at this local church, so I really clung to her a lot because she encouraged our relationship heavily, which, that's another story for another day on how that fell out, because goodness gracious. But like I said, I clung to him. He was, already in youth detention centers, getting in trouble for stealing and all the things. And, he was just like that hardcore, wannabe thug at a young age. So I really clung to that. I clung to that, one, because it infuriated my mom. She did not want me to talk to him. She did not want me to have any type of dealings with him. So of course I did. Of course, right? So he literally ended up like doing some like home burglary or something crazy, and like went to prison for like 2 years or something. So the whole rest of my high school, he wasn't even out, which is so funny, y'all, because literally, let me tell y'all, so I had to sneak and write this man, right? Because first of all, like, I had to give my cousin the mail. She would put it in the mail and send it. And one time I got real bold, y'all. I got real bold, and I decided to write from my house. But then, of course, he had to respond back. He's in jail. I wouldn't know. Y'all, again, I'm like 17 at this time. Don't judge me. All right, so I'm like, now, because I wrote him from my home address, I'm having to check the mail every day because I don't know when he's going to send something back. And I had sent a response telling him not to write back to that address, but I knew, mail delay, again, he's in jail. It's going to take a little while for that to get there, and I need to be checking his mail just in case. So one day my mom was like, oh, I'm going to go check the mail. And I was just knowing, like, right around this time, I should be getting some mail correspondence. So I'm like, no, I'll check the mail. And this particular day, she was just really adamant about checking the mail. And I don't know why, y'all, because usually I was the one checking the mail anyway. Okay, but boom, mom checks the mail, and I see her pull that little letter out. Oh no. So I sprinted to the mailbox and I ate it. No, literally, I ate the letter. I put it in my mouth, then I chewed it up. She was trying to get the letter, and she got the pieces that came out. But yeah, she couldn't quite piece them together, but she knew I was doing something I didn't need to do. So that was a whole nother butt whooping for a whole nother day, because sheesh. But yeah, so like I said, I was doing all the little attention getting things, and my mom worked in the medical field, so she's working crazy hours. She's already commuting because we had to move, so she's commuting over hours. She's leaving sometimes at 2-3 o'clock in the morning just to get to work. So I had a lot of spare time to be doing a lot of wrong things, for sure. So that's just kind of a hindsight into our relationship. So I got married the day after I graduated. I was 18. I decided that and keep it in mind, like I said, Buddy was in prison, but I had developed a strong connection with his mom. So I actually ended up moving out of my house because my mom would not allow me to be with him, and moving into her house, which is crazy, right? Because why would she let me do that again? Oh yeah, I forgot, because she wanted to use my McDonald's paycheck to pay her rent. Okay, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. And my mom was very upset because, again, keep in mind, they went to the same church. So, yeah, in hindsight, as a grown adult, I would have been very upset as well because, come on now, she knew better than that. And, I mean, hindsight, I knew better than that. But come on, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that was a very messy situation. So, like I said, I got married the day after I graduated, and that was a complete train wreck. I ended up being married to somebody who was literally insane. I did not know who he was when he got out of prison. He was not my little high school sweetheart, my little baby, my little puppy love. He was not that. He was very much abusive. He was very much on drugs, and I was so green at the time, y'all, that I didn't know. You know, he literally told me one time he had gotten a fight, and that's why his nose was so messed up. And shoot, I went with it because I didn't know. I didn't do drugs. I didn't know. So yeah, obviously that did not last. So that really caused a big strain in me and my mom's relationship for sure, because she spent a lot of time just trying to get me to see that I needed better for myself. I was so caught on the clinging to it just because she was trying to drag me away from it, and I felt like that was just the ultimate sense of betrayal. So like I said, going into my adult years, it was very strenuous. We would have months of talking, not talking, that up and down, but I always knew my mom loved me. She always knew, you know, we were very close knit. We just would bump heads, and that was a problem. So, all right. So before October the 12th, we had been rocky because, again, she did not like another person that I was with at the time. And again, I just have always rebelled back. So she basically gave me an ultimatum of, if you want to be with this person, I don't want to be around to see it. I don't want to engage with it. I'm good on that. So, hey, I cut all ties. It was fine. We didn't speak. Eventually she reached out to me like on the holidays. Like, I remember the last Mother's Day before she passed. She reached out, and this one still bothers me because the person I was with at the time, their mother had passed. And my mom had kind of reached out on Mother's Day. This is, again, the one before she passed, and she kind of waved a white flag. She had surgery. She's like, hey, you know, do you want to come stay over, this and that? And the person that I was with just like was having a fit. They were like, how can you leave me? It is Mother's Day. You know, my mom passed. Like, I'm going crazy. Like, I don't feel safe. I feel like I'm going to harm myself. All the things. So I called my mom back and I said, hey, like, I still want to come over, but I don't want to spend the night. And she just was not having it. She did not understand why I could not spend the night. That was an issue. So she just said, hey, forget it. Had I had gone to her house that day, I would have seen my mom one more time before October the 12th of 2022. So, yeah. So October the 12th, 2022, I was actually in very good spirits. I had just had this awesome interview. I really hated the job that I was at currently, and I had this amazing opportunity with a great company, or so I felt at the time. And so, yeah, so I was fresh out the interview. I was on the way home. I was on the road. I was feeling really good about life. I was jamming out. And then I remember getting a call, and it was my cousin, and she's not called me for any type of good news. Just not her MO. So when I got the call, I remember answering it, and she said, where are you? I told her where I was at. She said, you need to get to the hospital. Your mom is in the hospital. I was not going crazy at first. Because my mom had, you know, she had bouts in the hospital for some, not that they were not serious things, but she had, you know, been visiting the hospital. So it wasn't outlandish to be hearing that she was in the hospital at that particular time. So Then she said she just started bawling. She was like, no, like, you need to immediately get to the hospital. It does not look good. And I said, what do you mean it doesn't look good? She said, I don't know. I don't know. It just does not look good, and you need to get here right now. And then I got a few other calls that were the same. And then the last call said, we don't know if she's gonna make it. You need to be here as fast as you can. And that was a call that scared the living shit out of me, literally. I called my dad, and I pulled my car over, and I just remember hollering into the phone and saying, my mom is dying, my mom is dying. I was hyperventilating. He said, no, what's going on? Talk to me, tell me what's going on. I told him about the call. He told me to just go ahead and get there, then I called a person that I was with at the time, and I was not getting an answer. So as I was driving to the hospital, I'm at this point calling their family, because I'm just already knowing, like, I need somebody here. I do not know what's going on. So I'm like delivering messages like, hey, have them meet me at this hospital. Boom, 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 boom. So I get to the hospital. All of my mom's side of the family is in the hospital. They told me that my sister was back there. So, I'm texting and calling her at this point. And then, because I think it was like only one person could be in there at a time or something like that, where we had to switch off, and she was back there in the room. So, sorry, y'all. Okay, so she came and she was just like, hey, like, I just want to brace you. I just want to let you know that you're not going to recognize mom. She looks really bad. We do not know what's going on. We do not have any answers right now. We don't know what's going on. So I was still like, okay. So then I got ready to go ahead and go into the room, and my mouth was on the floor. Her head was swole up like a balloon. It was literally swollen to the point that the top of her head was shiny. Just because that's like how stretched it was. She had multiple tubes down her throat. She was not awake or alert. Her eyes were very dark. And I immediately hit the ground. I just remember everything under me just getting weak, because I did not, and keep in mind, it had been some months already since I had seen my mom, period. So especially just seeing her in that state was insane to me. So they began to kind of fill me in as to what happened. Her husband said that she was up in the bed, that she was eating some chips. She started coughing. She called him to the room and said that something did not feel okay, that she was not okay, that he needed to call for help. She started choking. He called for help. This is my problem with the story, because they took so long getting there. Like over 20 minutes getting there, that he didn't attempt to put her in a car or and this, I just have to be honest. I'm telling my story how it is in the parts I don't understand. Because why didn't you put her in a car and take her to the hospital? She's literally choking to death, and you're literally just waiting for the ambulance to get there. So anyway, the ambulance, they get there. Now, another problem that I had in the story, and these are the things that I'm thinking of as I'm hearing the story and trying to understand what it is that happened, because I just still to this day I don't understand what happened. So this is mom's house, okay? So my mom lives in Winder. I know y'all don't know, it's like an hour from Atlanta, okay? So her house right here. So let's just say they in the ambulance, right? So boom, hospital 1 is right here. They pass by this hospital to get to Brazelton, which is 30 minutes from Winder. My mom's already probably 15 to 20 minutes from first hospital. he tells them to pass the first hospital to go to Brazelton, which is again another 20, I say maybe 25 minutes from Winder to get to this hospital. So he says that in the ambulance is when she just went out of it. Like she just went out. She basically went unconscious and didn't come back from that point. So, of course, as her child, I had a lot of questions. And still, like I said, to this day, I have a lot of questions. So, that was October the 12th, was the first day in the hospital. Her husband lived in Winder, so for the most part, he was going, to home and going to sleep each night. My sister lives in Lithonia. She it's about an hour commute for her. She was stayed at the hospital every night. I at the time stayed about 10 minutes from the hospital. They would only let one person be in the room at the time, so I let my sister have the comfort of laying down in the room. And y'all, it's so crazy because I didn't know initially that visitors weren't like allowed to like stay like overnight, like in the lobby part, due to security reasons. So I actually had like my blankets and my pillows and all those things. Excuse me, y'all. Actually in the lobby. And security actually told me later on, like, hey, like we weren't even supposed to let you, stay in here, but because you weren't causing any issue, we know, like, obviously that's your mom, it's not looking good, like we're not gonna force you to leave. So fortunately they let me stay there because I just wanted to be close to my mom. So as the days goes on, it was just bad news after bad news after bad news. Like they basically told us like the chances of her coming back were slim to none. She went a really long time without oxygen to her brain, which again, that's why it bothers me, because the time is just really inconsistent for me. I don't understand why they would have passed one hospital. Seems like they should have stopped at the one hospital, been able to stabilize her, and then go from there. But hey, who am I? But the doctors were saying, oh, like there's a couple more tests we can run. We really don't think that there's going to be a point of the test, but if y'all just want to run the test just to say we've done all the options, and we can do that. Her husband did not want to run any more tests. He's like, what's the point? Basically, they've told us, all the things, like they told us she's not gonna make it. Why we run more tests? Why we use insurance? I'm like, what? Like, huh? Like, and me and my sister like, no, like we need to run all the tests. We need to do all of the things. Like, we're not just gonna sit here and pull a plug just because y'all have told us this. Like, if we can run another test and if there's even 1% chance that she might be okay, or it might be, like, we need to run the test. So her husband got really upset at that. He told us that we were trying to take over everything. Like, dude, that's literally our mom. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's insane. So finally he stopped pushing back with that and said that they could go ahead and run the additional tests. So they did. And the whole time, y'all, in this hospital room, I caught hell. So understand, first of all, my cousin, who thinks that she's in charge of everything on the face of this earth, and it's not. Like, my mom was never close to her family. Like, she always would talk about like how her sisters, they envy her because she was able to get out of this small country town and, go to school, and how they just really, like, man, she was a little sister out of five. So out of, was it four of them? So she was a younger sister. Like, when we moved to their city, like, they hardly came to our house. Like, we rarely saw them. Like, it was just always like they lived for the negative. Like, if I got in trouble, oh, they want to talk about that. Or, if we were doing bad or down and out, they want to talk about that. But just like coming over family function wise, checking and making sure we're okay. Understand, I didn't know these people like that. You feel me? Like, it's so, for them to just be so hands-on at the hospital when my mom is dying, like, it just all felt so ingenuine to me, because like she's expressed these feelings of, y'all, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. Obviously, like I said from the beginning, we had our moments and trials and tribulations as well. But I know I am my mother's child, and I know I love her more than anybody in this world. You feel me? So with them, I just really lost a lack of respect for them, honestly. Because it was just a lot. You know, even my cousin literally arguing with me in my mom's room, asking me why I'm in my mom's hospital room because we weren't getting along before she passed. Girl, that's my mama, honey. Like, huh? So it was really a lot. She even called this. I will not, like I said, I will refrain from using names, but the pastor that they called. So my mom had opened a church with this pastor who, just frankly, he's just shicey. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of those people that was really known locally. He got away with a lot of things. He got away with traumatizing a lot of people. And just because he's the cool guy. And, you know, my mom really liked him. And she was really another victim of, again, people in leadership abusing their power. So I had my own personal trauma with him. I did not want any dealings with him. So when they told me that they were calling to let him know that my mom had passed, I politely asked for them not to do that. I did not, at this time of my trauma, going through this with my mom, I did not want to see him or be around him. And they still chose to call this man and have him to come to the hospital. I lost it because absolutely not. So when he got there, I started screaming. I started hollering, no, tell them why I don't want you here. Tell them why I don't want you here. My sister tried to pull me back and restrain me. No, because it's just unacceptable. Like, it's not something that they should have done. It's not their place. Like, it was not. So it was just hotmess.com. It was just a lot of things really going on. We just did not have any level of privacy. My mom's husband literally had his daughter sitting in my mom's hospital room watching her die when they didn't even get along. So why are you even in my mom's room? Like, he had my cousins in there, my aunts are in there just looking at my mom's body. Like, understand, these are not things that she wanted. And that is why it is so, like, my mom was in the middle of filing a divorce right before she died. That's why it's so important, y'all, for y'all to get y'all's affairs together, because trust me, you do not want the wrong people making these types of life calls for y'all when it is time to do it, because I promise you it can be bad, because it was bad, y'all. We had people, even when they came in and told us, like, officially that my mom was not going to make it. Understand, we received that news and a crowd full of people in a room with my mom's almost dead body laying in there. So it's just crazy. Like, they offered us no support. Everybody, like, was against me and my sister when we're the only ones trying to find an answer. I literally remember my aunt grabbing her purse and being like, oh, well, that's it. You heard what the doctor said. Doctor said she's dead. You know what I mean? Like, this was seriously the things that I had to go through when my mom passed. So once they told us, like I said, that she was actually passing, we had to pull the plug. They told us how the process was going to be. They were going to unplug. They were going to have the whatever the little people are called when they come in there and actually, like, pray, like, with your family and things like that. So they were going to have him to come in there, and so they did that. So understand, when I tell y'all, and when I said at the beginning that I literally watched this man eat a bacon deluxe cheeseburger while my mother took her last breath, I sincerely mean that. He was so hungry. I'll never forget. I will never forget this story, y'all. And if I'm lying, may I get struck down. It was so crazy, y'all. This man talked about how hungry he was while his wife was sitting there dying. He had my cousin to bring him some food in my mom's hospital room while she was dying. Now, mind you, me and my sister hadn't eaten in 4 days at this point. We didn't have an appetite. Because how can you, with all this stuff going on, and then furthermore, in this hospital room, you're going to eat that? So let me tell y'all how crazy it was. He whips out this bacon deluxe cheeseburger. It's like huge. He's like biting and licking his fingers, and it's just the best meal he's ever had. It was so crazy, y'all. My sister went out and asked the nurse, if there was any policy against like eating in the hospital rooms. The nurse told my sister, there's no policy against eating in this hospital room, but this is so disgusting and so rude that I will have my staff to come in there and back me up on this, and we will all tell him that we cannot eat food in the hospital room, because that's how disgusted the hospital staff was. Yeah. So they came in and told him he couldn't eat food, so he went out and ate his food, because damn his dying wife, right? So yeah, y'all, I'm a little traumatized. I am literally a little traumatized. So in the midst of all that, obviously we had to pull the plug. And so I watched my mom take her last breath. I watched her body go limp. I watched her eyes close. I watched that last little teardrop fall from her eye. And I had so many conversations with my mom. I just remember holding her hand, and this was before they pulled the plug. I remember holding her hand, and I remember apologizing for everything that I had done. And they kept telling me that she could not hear me. I still feel like she did. And I told her, it's okay for you to let go. It's okay. You did everything that you could do. And understand, I lost my mom at 27. So I know that she would not have wanted to go that early. I know that she still felt like she had a lot of things to teach me, and talk to me through. And I wanted her to know that it was okay. So that was the major thing. And so when I watched her pass, I think my body just went into shell shock. Like, me and my sister, we sat in the room with her even after her husband left. We sat. And I remember going into the elevator. I remember the person I was with at the time looked at me and said, you can cry when we get home, but right now I need you to be strong, and I need you to walk out of this hospital. And I walked out of the hospital, and I don't even drink. Everybody that knows me knows I'm not a drinker. I get extremely sick when I drink. It's just not one of the things that I do. I asked him to bring me a bottle of Crown Apple, and I went to my car in that hospital parking lot, and I sat there, and I drank, 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 and I drank. I drank till I couldn't even remember. And I just remember waking up in the hospital parking lot, and him saying, we gotta go home now. We gotta go home. And it was at that point that I realized it was not a dream. And y'all had just gotten the job that I had interviewed for. During that time, they had called to let me know. And I was in such shock, y'all. I went in on Monday. I was supposed to start that Monday. I went in, I physically, excuse me, y'all. I physically went in because my mom passed on the 16th. And I was supposed to start on the 17th. I went in that Monday, dressed up, and I told them, hey, I won't be able to start today because my mom just passed. And I was calm, and I said it just like that. And they were all like, why is she here? Like, it was crazy. And but I told them, yeah, tomorrow I'll get started, and the only time that I'll need off is half a day on Friday, because her funeral is on Friday. Now, hold on, let me pause on that, because let's talk about this funeral. My mom did not want a funeral. She wanted to be cremated, and she wanted her ashes to be scattered along the ocean. That was her thing. She always had these conversations. She always told me and my sister that. And then her husband decides that he wants to have a funeral. Why do you want to go against this woman's wishes? I don't understand. I don't understand that at all. She literally has told you what she's wanted, but because of your selfish ways and what her sisters are saying, you want to do this. So they had this half-ass funeral, y'all. They had a half-ass funeral. Hold on, let me tell it in order. So Tuesday I started work. Like less than a full 24 hours after my mom had passed. I was not there, y'all. It was not registering in my brain that my mom had passed. Like when people say you go into sort of a shock, that's very true, because it took me a year before I really even processed. So I worked Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Friday I took a half day and I went to the funeral. First of all, the funeral was already half-assed because this man done had his daughter write my mom's funeral. They used a crazy picture that she would have hated. The obituary, they talked a little bit about me and my sister, but for the most part, it was like, you know, she leaves behind, you know, a brother-in-law, a sister-in-law, a mother-in-law. It's like literally like going on and on about his family. First of all, she would have been so mad. She would have been mad, y'all. She would have been mad. So I don't even know why they even play like that. Like, my mama did not deal with them folks. And in any case, even if she did, she would not want them on no dang daggone program. And she definitely wouldn't want that picture. Like, my mama did not play about stuff like that. So they didn't even have no pictures hanging up. Because understand, me and my sister did not participate in the funeral arrangements or planning because, again, one, it was against her will. And two, they didn't even ask us to contribute to that stuff. So it was crazy. So they had a half-ass funeral. Nobody got up and spoke at my mom's funeral. Nobody. The only people that had my back or that came to support me to the funeral was the person that I was with at the time, my dad, and my sister. Those were the only three people that came to support me at the funeral. And like I said, nobody got up and said anything. My mom's best friends, people she talked to every single day, people she loved, that she cherished, her family, the people that went so hard about having this funeral, not one of them got up and said anything at my mother's funeral, which I thought was crazy. I thought that was crazy. I just really did. I thought it was insane. He did agree to let my mom be cremated. When I say he safeguarded the ashes, so they pulled up in a big truck with the ashes, put them up in front of the funeral. And when I say after the funeral, they gathered them up and got up out of there. To this day, I have not seen, touched, held my mother's ashes. And that's sick to me. He would not let us go through, you know, her things. He was like, oh, you know, we can pick a day and where I can, your sister, because he got mad at me because I was asking questions, y'all. I wanted to know, did you do everything that you could to help my mother? Because I just don't understand the times. I don't understand all the things. I had so many questions, and I'm the one I'm going to ask them, because what you're not going to do is something happened to my mama, and yeah, I'm not asking no questions. No, I'm good on that. So, you know, he kind of leaned more towards my older sister because I guess he felt like she was a piece of mind. But she was thinking all the same shit I was thinking. I'm just the only one that's going to say the shit out loud. So there's that. So he was like, yeah, maybe one day, you know, we can go through the house and, you know, I can follow you around and see, like, boy, this is my mama's house with all her things. Like, what is you finna do with women's clothes and all the things? So, you know what I'm saying? We ain't even really getting none of my mom's stuff. Okay, so boom. He was so pressed about signing the papers for the funeral home because he thought that the insurance that my mom left was in his name. So the day of the funeral, me and my sister are actually getting a call because come to find out, my mom had actually changed the names on the policy from him to us. So we actually got everything. And he was very upset about that. He was extremely pissed. He was crying, talking about he don't know why my mama did this. And thank God that she did, because he would have made sure that we did not get anything. And that's why I said, make sure you have your affairs together, and that if you're married, that you have things in place to protect yourself, because obviously, as you can see, the things can go totally left with that. So at the end of the day, my mom had split the insurance money 50-50 with me and my sister. So he was pissed about that. My mom had a car that she owned. She had other things, and he did with that as his will. We haven't seen any of that stuff. I haven't gotten any of my mom's clothes, pictures, all of the things, all the stuff that she left behind. Me and my sister just completely lost at that, because every time we would try to reach out to him, he would completely shut down. He would swear, we were trying to say it was his fault, all this stuff happened and all this kind of stuff. So we ultimately just got tired of going back and forth with him, and we just had to wash our hands away with that. So that was that, y'all. So that was October. I probably didn't even feel anything. My birthday is in December. I just remember going through so many months of just complete numbness. I was not eating. I had lost an extreme amount of weight in a very short amount of time. I remember just feeling like it was my fault, like I had killed my mom from heartbreak, like all she wanted just was for me to be there for her, and I just felt like I had failed her, because I know I'm my mama's favorite person in this world, y'all. I was. And it was hard. Like, shoot, I used to beat myself up every single day. Like, I went through moments of feeling like my house was haunted. I would hear little sounds. I could not sleep at night. Like, I used to beg for her to come show me a sign, show me a sign, show me you're here, show me it's you. I paid so much money for psychic readings. I would be up at 2 o'clock in the night trying to pay people to bring me to her spirit, trying to tell me if she forgave me, if all the things. And oh, y'all, it was a lot. The person that I was with, I just remember we just had like a really bad argument. This was the day after my mom's funeral. I just went crazy. Like, I just remember throwing things and breaking things. And I also remember him calling the police on me, because he was like, why are you going crazy? Why are you calling the police on me? And my mom just died. The police literally came, and I was like, sir, I don't know why I broke all this shit. Like, my mom just died. I just went to her funeral yesterday, and I'm just tired. And he was like, I don't even know why we're here. We're just gonna go, and I'm sorry your mom passed, because I literally was just not even in my right state of mind. And I didn't have anybody. I didn't have anybody to go through that with. Like, the person I was with was not somebody that I needed to be with. It was not somebody that was supportive. I just could not leave at that point in time, because I needed to be around somebody. Like, I could not be by myself at that point in time. So I just really clung to anything. And that was one of the promises that I made to my mom, is that I would leave that person that I was with. I promised her that. I promised her that I would not cry anymore. And I went a long time without crying, y'all. Like, I would not cry, because I felt like I had made that promise to my mom that I would not cry. And I was going to try my best to uphold that. So I went into an emotional shell shock, because I just for a long time refused to cry. I refused to even talk about my mom for a long time. And shoot, like, people would occasionally check in on me, and I'd be like, oh, like, I'm fine. I remember people telling me like how strong I was and how proud of me they were and how proud my mom would be. But I just remember, like, every day getting out of the bed was hard. Like, I had days that I did not want to be on the earth. I did not care what happened to me. I was just a robot. I would go to work. I would go to the gym. I was going insanely hard at the gym, because I just wanted to feel the pain. Like, I would go to the gym for hours. I would go to the gym 2 hours before work, on my lunch break at work, hours after I got home. Like, I had gained so much muscle mass. I was getting ripped. I was doing weightlifting. I was just doing all the things, because one, like I said, I really just like the pain. I got so many tattoos. I got so many piercings. Like, once one thing would heal up, I needed something else that hurt. That was my thing. Pain was my thing, and I just couldn't stop. I went through a lot. And even still now, like, I definitely went through a period of just not feeling like love would ever be possible again. I did not think love was real because I saw how bad my family treated me when my mom died. Like, I did not understand how they could look at me and see how bad I was hurting and know that I lost my mom. Like, my cousin literally made a comment, like, my cousin was talking back to my grandma, excuse me, my cousin was talking back to her grandma, and my other cousin was like, oh, don't talk back to her because you don't want to be ending up without a mom, like, at the time I was going by Kayla, like, Kayla, like, that's horrible. Like, these are the things that I had to deal with. Like, they were so wicked and so evil. Like, y'all, it was the worst experience of my life. And so I say all that to say, like, yes, I am traumatized, and it's okay to be traumatized. It's okay to talk about your experiences. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to find your people and your community, because I'll be honest, like, when I say I don't know if it's God or my mom or whatever, like, I needed somebody to pull me out of that darkness, and Shakayla has been that person. Like, I talk about my wife, but not even in a romantic way. Like, literally, like, I needed somebody to let me grieve, because I went almost, before I met her, a good solid year, almost a year of not grieving, not processing, not anything, just going along in life and just telling people that I was okay. And I got hurt. The people around me were hurting me. They were hurting me because I was so vulnerable that I didn't care what people did to me at the time. Like, I just needed them to be around me. I needed to feel whatever type of love that I could. And I definitely had people around me that abused that, for sure. So, like I said, find a healthy way to grieve, because I did not find a healthy way to grieve. And you can really see the pain in my eyes. When I look into the mirror, I can see that it changed me into a different person. I can see that I am not who I was before that. And it's good and bad. You know what I mean? Like, it definitely grew me up faster. It definitely, impacted me being a parent and what kind of parent I want to be, and just knowing that I don't want to take those moments for granted. And even most recently with this scare, I literally, like, y'all think I'm exaggerating, I thought that I was dead in this last hospital visit. Like, I did not think I was coming back from that. And it just made me want to open up and really just live. And this podcast has been very therapeutic. It was something that I had been wanting to do for a long time, but just really nervous about it. And like I said, just these experiences and thinking back on my story to tell, I just want to let everybody know that's out there like me, that's gone through this, that's lost a parent, that you can make it through, and you can be your best you. You can make your parents proud, and know that that guilt, you're always going to feel that guilt. It does not go away. That feeling of, I could have done more, I should have been there more, I should have. But just know that, again, this is everybody's first time living on this earth, y'all. And know that those people are looking down. I don't care what anybody says. I know that my mom is looking down on me, and I know that I'm going to make her proud, and I'm going to make her even prouder by continuing to share my story, to talk and help the next person, because I don't care if this reaches one person. I don't care if it reaches 10 people, 100 people. I want all the people that listen to me, hear my voice, see me on here, to know that it's okay. So yes, I'm traumatized.